Hello everyone and welcome to AI Sciences. I am your instructor Shariar, and today we are going to learn how to create a virtual machine on cloud. Okay, so let's get started. So for this purpose we use a service known as EC2 in AWS. And what is EC2? EC2 is known as Elastic Compute Cloud, where we can use infrastructure as a service in AWS. Okay, basically EC2 is used to launch an instance within AWS. Okay, now in terms of simple English, what is instance? Instance simply means occurrence of something, right? So by launching an instance using EC2, we are basically making the virtual machine occur on the cloud. All right. So basically, EC2 consists of right, like renting virtual machines, which is EC2, storing data on virtual drives, which is EBS, distributing load across machines, which is ELB, and scaling the services using an auto-scaling group, which is ASG. Okay, so knowing EC2 is fundamental to understand how the cloud works. Okay, like the power of the cloud, you can basically create your own virtual machines and you can store data in it without any local storage interaction, everything on the cloud. So that is the power of cloud, and we will get to know about it. Okay, so I want you to know more about EC2. Let's move forward. And we have this EC2 sizing and configuration options. So basically this is the operating system it is compatible with, like Linux, Windows, or Mac OS. And how much computing power and cores do we need, and how much random access memory do we need. So why is it written like this? I mean, let me explain it to you. Like when you have a custom made PC and you need to install anything in it by your choice. Okay, so you will decide what will be the CPU, like what will be the processor, and what will be the RAM, what will be the size of the RAM. So the same thing is what we do while creating a virtual machine. While creating that instance, we decide what will be our computing power and cores, and what will be the random access memory, and like the storage. And there are two types of storage in this virtual machine. These are like, one is network attached, which is EBS and EFS, and one is hardware. Okay, and then we have the network card, which is a very basic type of installation, like the speed of the card and either the IP address is public or not. And then we have these firewall rules security, which is security group. Okay, I want you guys to note this and I will explain it to you. Then we have bootstrap script, which is known as EC2 User Data, and it is configured at the very first launch. Okay, at the very first launch, and after that it doesn't launch. Okay, so let's get to know more about this EC2 User Data. So it is possible to bootstrap our instances using an EC2 User Data script, as I told you guys. And bootstrapping basically means launching commands. Okay, now these commands could be used for like anything, like installing updates or installing software or writing a script or like downloading common files from the internet. Okay, and make sure when you are having the utilization of EC2 User Data, you need to have your root account with you. Okay, you cannot do it in any other account, so you need to implement it on your root account. Okay, so moving back to one slide, this EC2. So when we are launching an instance, we need to specify what type of instance it is like. So let's talk about the EC2 instance types. Okay, so you can use different types of EC2 instances that are optimized for different use cases, and I have provided a link over here. You can visit it, and you may just to have a know-how of the instance types, but I'm going to explain some of them to you, the basic and the core ones. So we have this general purpose instance type. Basically it is used to have a balance between the networking and the performance, right, and the storage. And if we have this compute optimized, it means that we need a high performance instance. So for that we need a higher storage, obviously, and a higher memory, RAM, and higher CPU. It is used if you have like if you are using it for a dedicated gaming server or something like that. And we have this memory optimized. This is concerned with handling large databases so that it is computed faster, and so on. We have all these instance types. If you want to know what are these used for, you can visit this link and you will get to know it. It's a simple description of all these types. Okay, so AWS, it has the following naming convention. So what is this? Okay, I'm gonna, we need to hold on over here and I'm gonna explain it to you. But first, we need to have a hands-on implementation of this, of how to create a virtual machine on cloud. Okay, so let's get started with that. Just a minute. And we are going to use Google Chrome. Let's go to aws.amazon.com. I'm gonna sign into the console, my AWS console. Yeah, okay. So over here, as you can see, we are in this AWS console. We have this EC2 over here, which I just explained to you. And if it is not visible over here, you can simply search for it, EC2, and you can get it. Just a minute. Yeah. So EC2, okay. So if we go over here, you may see we have all of these things. We have these resources where it is telling if we have any instance running or any dedicated hosts or key pairs and security groups, right? So currently I don't have any instance running, so I can launch an instance from over here. But before we launch an instance, I want you guys to know that there are some instances which require money, right? But we are going to use the free tier. But just for the purpose of safety, in case you don't we are using it for the purpose of practice. This is our training, so we don't want to spend any money on this. Nobody will want to do that. So just for the purpose of safety, what we will do is we will go to our account. Okay, I'm doing this step by step because I don't want you guys to feel that it is tricky or complicated. So I'm doing this step by step. So if we go to bills, you may see that we have this date over here and we have this summary, the estimated total, and you can see in June 22 the estimated total is $0.29, which is almost to nothing, right? And so is the case with May, and yeah, same case over here. So you can download a CSV of the summary, so you get to know in what, if you click on the service like Amplify, it tells you in what region you are using this and what is the estimated total for it. Okay, currently it's 000 and something like that. So we are going to set a budget. Okay, just for the purpose of safety, I'm going to create a budget from over here, and this is going to be a cost budget. Let's go next, and I'm going to give it a name. Let's say a training. Okay, any name, and this is going to be a monthly basis, and this is the start one. Okay, and I want it to be fixed. Okay, the other option is you have it plan or you have it auto adjusting, but I'm okay with this fixed because I'm just okay with it. Okay, and I want it to be like $5. Okay, and nothing more than that. I want my monthly budget to be $5. If it reaches $5, it will notify me that you cannot spend any more money unless you unless you expand your budget. Okay, so I am going to use this budget scope for all my AWS services. Okay, and let's leave it to default and go next. So this is the summary. Yeah, and next. Okay, next. And over here we have our budget set. Okay, this is a cost budget. This is the name. It's based on a monthly period and it's $5. Okay, I'm going to create the budget and it has been created. Okay, so let's go back to our instance where we need to create the virtual machine. This was just for the purpose of safety. Okay, now from over here we can launch an instance. I'm going to click on it, launch instance. Now we have all these options over here. So let's say the name of my my instance will be my web server. Okay, yeah. And over here we have these recent and quick start services, AMI, which is known as Amazon Machine Image. So we are going to use this Amazon Linux, which is a free tier. Okay, as you can see over here, and it is based on 64-bit. All right, and yeah, And if you talk about the instance type, right, so this is where we were supposed to hold on, and let's get back to it. I will explain to you, but first let me show you this. And you can see currently it is selected as t2.micro, which is this architecture, and it has 1 GB of memory, and it doesn't have the storage or anything like that. So if you go back, just give me a moment, my fault. Okay, so yeah, if you go back, we can see that over here it has 1 vCPU and 1 GB of memory. It belongs to family T2. Now what is this naming convention? Like, how do we identify it? What does it mean? So just give me a moment, and that is the reason I made you guys hold on to it. Okay, yeah, so over here we are. So this naming convention, for example, it's written as M5.2x large. Now every letter differentiates within itself. Okay, it has its own meaning. Now over here, M, it belongs to the instance class. Okay, and over here, this 5 over here, it means the generation. Now what does it mean? Well, basically generation, it empowers over time. And let's say that you have this processor, okay, and it has different generation. It has Intel Core i3, and then it has Intel Core i5 second generation, third generation, fourth generation, 11th generation, so on, right? So same is the case with this 5 over here. It is the generation of this instance class. Okay, and now over here, if you go next, we have this 2x large. What does it mean? It means the size within the instance class. Okay, so we have this instance class, we have this generation of the instance, and we have the size within the instance class. Okay, it could be like 2x large, it could be like micro, it could be like 4x, 6x large, it could be anything. All right, so now we got to know what is this naming convention about. Now we can go back to our instance type, and we are going to select this default one, which is a free tier. Okay, we will not be charged with any money. So keep here. Okay, what is this? So I'm going to tell you that we just need to set something. Let's say I'm going to create a new key pair, and I'm going to name this key pair as anything like training again. Okay, this is the encryption. Okay, and just create it. Okay, and make sure you do not lose this file. Okay, it doesn't come up with you again. You cannot create a new pair again for the instance, for the current instance. Okay, so do not lose it. Now if we come back over here, come downwards over here, we have this create a security group or select an existing security group. Okay, now what is security group? Security group is basically it sets the firewall rules that control the traffic for your instance. Okay, so give me a moment, I will explain it to you again. Actually, for the first time it wasn't again. So if you go over here, just a moment. Yeah, so security groups are the fundamentals of network security in AWS. Okay, they control how traffic is allowed into or out of our EC2 instances. Okay, so we have these two types of traffics. We have inbound traffic, which originates from outside, and we have this outbound traffic, which originates inside. Okay, and security groups, they only contain rules, like if like two rules: allow it or do not allow it. Okay, and security groups, they can reference by IP or by security group. Okay, so let me explain it to you further words. Now security groups are acting as a firewall on EC2 instance. Okay, now what does it mean? For example, this is the EC2 instance that we have, and over here around this, it is protected by a firewall. Okay, and that firewall is our security group. Okay, so what does it do? It regulates the access to ports and authorized IP ranges, which is like two types, IPv4 and IPv6 format, and it has the control of inbound network and it has the control of the outbound network. Okay, so if you see this diagram over here, you can see that over here with this EC2 instance, suppose it is some EC2 instance with some IP. Okay, and we have these two security groups attached to it. Okay, this is security group 1, which is inbound, and this is again security group 1, but it is outbound this time. Now for inbound, we have given it like filtered some IP and access through some port in it, okay? And let's say that that IP is your computer. So your computer, it has some IP, and we have authorized it for the port 22. So it will have a connection with your instance, right? But if there is another computer, that means a different IP, and it is trying to access that port, it will not have authorization for that, okay? Your security group would not allow it. But if you talk about the outbound security group, it will allow any port and any IP for it, okay? It will have a connection with any port or any IP. So that is how a security group works, and these are the rules of the firewall. So let's get back to it. Just give me a moment. Okay, so over here we are. So we'll go to this edit, okay, and we have this firewall security groups. Yeah, okay. So we have the security group name, which could be anything. For now, it is launch wizard 6. Okay, and a description for that. Okay, so this is the type of the security group rules. Okay, for now it is SSH, which is known as secure shell, and by default it has this port range 22. Now I'm gonna add, okay, one more thing. Over here we have the source type, which could be anywhere, or you can choose it to be like your IP or a custom IP. Okay, so I'm gonna have it to anywhere. So now I'm gonna add a security group rule, and I want this to be HTTP, right? If you go over here, we have this HTTP over here, which is used to secure the to access the non-secure websites, while the HTTPS is used to access the secured websites. Okay, so for now I'm gonna have this one over here. By default it has this port range 80, and I want this source type to be anywhere. Okay, and description, okay, let's say I'm gonna put it to HTTP for admin. Okay, or it's optional. Okay, you can leave it to blank or anything. So we have this rule over here now, and do we need to add something else? No. Okay, so currently the storage type, it's like 1 into 8 gigabyte, and this is the GP2 type of root volume, which is an SSD. Okay, and we have this magnetic as well, and so many types, but for now we are going to keep it default. Okay, now if you go to advanced details, over here I'm concerned with only one thing, and that is the main thing, which is the user data. Now if you may recall, what is user data? Now user data refers to bootstrapping, okay, where you can add your scripts of like whatever script you want. So I have a script for you guys over here. If you go over here, and yeah, I'm gonna open it up with Notepad. I'm not familiar with this Windows 11, and I think Windows 10 was better. That is my opinion. What do you guys say? So let's paste it over here from top to bottom, make sure, and yeah, we have it all set up. Now this is the summary of the instance that you're going to create. Okay, I'm gonna launch this instance now, and just a minute. Yeah, okay, so as you can see over here, we have a success notification, successfully initiated launch of instance, and this is the ID. We can access it from over here if you click on it. So what do we have over here? We have this name, my web server, and this is actually an instance, and the state of the instance, it's pending now, but within a few seconds you may see that it may run. Okay, so let's just wait for it. And here you go. As you can see, it is in a running state now. Okay, we have this instance type T2 micro, which we just chose, and all this stuff. Okay, and now if we click on it, we get to have the information for it. Now I had this EC2 user data, this bootstrap script attached to it. So I want to open it up. Okay, I want to open it up through this public IPv4 address, because I had set the source as anywhere. Okay, so I want to access it from this public IPv4 address, and if you open it up from over here, you may see that it will not open up. Now why is that? It's because it's a public IP address, and it changes every time you refresh the page or anything. So if you go back, and this time you just copy it. Okay, and one more thing I forgot to tell you, if you open it up from over here, you may see that we have this thing as like this. Okay, and it says that your connection to this site is not secure. Now we had chosen the type for security group as HTTP. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy it from over here, and now I'm gonna go back and now I'm gonna paste it. And if you may see that now it has been accessed, and we had this script which was saying hello world from IP, and we had this private IP, we had this IP set. Okay, now let's go back to our instance, and if you may click on it, we have all this information over here. And if you may go to the security over here, you may see that we have the inbound rules as well, which is the protocol TCP. And then over here, as you can see, we have this outbound rules, which is this port for all and protocol. It goes to all, and the destination is anywhere. The 000 means IPv4. In IPv4, it means anything, and in IPv6 format, this also means anything. So yeah, that's how we create an instance, and currently our instance is running. We can also, reboot our instance, or you can stop your instance. And when your instance is stopped, you are not charged for it. Okay, you are not being charged for it. And as you can see over here, this instance state we have, it's stopping now. So let's give it a few moments, just a few seconds. So yeah, as you can see over here, it has been stopped now, and when any instance is stopped, you are not being charged for it. Okay, you do not have to pay in that state. But when it is started, you will be charged for it. But it depends. Like for the instance that I am using, for the tier that I am using, it charges like $0.02 per hour or something like that. So yeah, that is almost nothing. And if you do not need your state anymore, your instance anymore, you can terminate it. But make sure, just keep in mind that once you terminate your instance, you will not be able to fetch it again. Okay, you will have to create another instance. Okay, so do not terminate it if you do not need to. And if there is no need of that instance, like you don't need it anymore, then you can terminate it. Okay, it's up to you. And you can create like multiple instances, and all it takes is just a few seconds for them to start running. Okay, so that is the power of cloud. It is capable of handling multiple instances, and it is capable of having a high computing power. And yeah, that is the power of cloud. So yeah, that is all, and we got to know about what is like how to create a virtual machine on cloud, and what is EC2, and what are the security groups, what is the purpose of a firewall, and the types of instance. Okay, so we got to know about all this stuff, and I hope you guys learned something out of it. And if you guys learned something out of it, just like this video and subscribe to our channel AI Sciences. And I hope to see you guys soon. Until then, have a good day.